Hello, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ. This is Shiny with Jesus Bytes, and welcome back on our journey of exploring the Bible together. We will continue with the book of Deuteronomy, covering chapters 21 through 26 today. Unsolved Murders, chapter 21. If a murder victim is found lying in a field in the land the Lord your God is giving you to possess, and it is known who killed him, your elders and judges must come out and measure the distance from the victim to the nearby cities. The elders of the city nearest to the victim are to get a cow that has not been yoked or used for work. The elders of that city will bring the cow down to a continually flowing stream, to a place not filled, not tilled or sown, and they will break the cow's neck there by the stream. Then the priests, the sons of the Levi, will come forward, for the Lord your God has chosen them to serve him and pronounce blessings in the Lord's name, and they are to give a ruling in every dispute and case of assault. All the elders of the city nearest to the victim will wash their hands by the stream over the heifer whose neck has been broken. They will declare, "Our hands did not shed this blood. Our eyes did not see it. Lord, forgive your people Israel you redeemed, and do not hold the shedding of innocent blood against them." They will be absolved of responsibility for bloodshed. You must purge from yourselves the guilt of shedding innocent blood, for you will be doing what is right in the Lord's eyes. Fair treatment of captured women. When you go to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God hands them over to you, and you take some of them prisoner, and if you see a beautiful woman among the captives, desire her, and want to take her as your wife, you are to bring her into your house. She must shave her head, trim her nails, remove the clothes she was wearing when she was taken prisoner, live in your house, and mourn for her father and mother a full month. After that, you may have sexual relations with her and be her husband, and she will be your wife. Then if you are not satisfied with her, you are to let her go where she wants, but you must not sell her for money or treat her as merchandise, because you have humiliated her. The right of the firstborn. If a man has two wives, one loved and the other unloved, and both the loved and the unloved bear him sons, and if the unloved wife has the firstborn son, when that man gives what he has to his sons as an inheritance, he is not to show favoritism to the son of the loved wife as his firstborn over the firstborn of the unloved wife. He must acknowledge the firstborn, the son of the unloved wife, by giving him a double portion of everything that belongs to him, for he is the first fruits of his fertility. He has the rights of the firstborn. A rebellious son. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not obey his father or mother and doesn't listen to them even after they discipline him, his father and mother must take hold of him and bring him to the elders of the city, to the gate of his hometown. They will say to the elders of the city, The son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He doesn't obey us. He's a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of his city will stone him to death. You must purge the evil from you, and all Israel will hear and be afraid. Display of executed people. If anyone is found guilty of an offense deserving the death penalty and is executed, and you hang his body on a tree, you are not to leave his corpse on the tree overnight, but are to bury him that day. For anyone hung on a tree is under God's curse. You must not defile the land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. Caring for your brother's property. Chapter 22. If you see your brother's ox or sheep straying, you must not ignore it. Make sure you return it to your brother. If your brother does not live near you or you don't know him, you are to bring the animal to your home to remain with you until your brother comes looking for it. Then you can return it to him. Do the same for his donkey, his garment, or anything your brother has lost and you have found. You must not ignore it. If you see your brother's donkey or ox fallen on the ground, you must not ignore it. You must help him lift it up, preserving natural distinctions. A woman is not to wear male clothing, and a man is not to put a woman's garment. For everyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord your God. If you come across a bird's nest with chicks or eggs, either in a tree or on the ground along the road, and the mother is sitting on the chicks or eggs, you must not take the mother along with the young. You may take the young for yourself, but sure to let the mother go free for yourself, but so that you may prosper and live long. If you build a new house, make a railing around your roof, so that you don't bring blood guilt on the house if someone falls from it. Do not plant your vineyard with two types of seed, otherwise the entire harvest, both the crop you plant and the produce of the vineyard, will be defiled. Do not plow with an ox and a donkey together. Do not wear clothes made of both wool and linen. Make tassels on the four corners of your outer garment you wear. Violations of proper sexual conduct. If a man marries a woman, has sexual relations with her, and comes to hate her, and accuses her of shameful conduct, and gives her a bad name, saying, I married this woman and was intimate with her, but I didn't find evidence of her virginity, the young woman's father and mother will take the evidence of her virginity and bring it to the city elders at the gate. The young woman's father will say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man as a wife, but he hates her. He has accused her of shameful conduct, saying, I didn't find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. They will spread out the cloth before the city elders. Then the elders of the city will take the man and punish him. They will also fine him 100 silver shekels and give them to the young woman's father, because that man gave an Israelite virgin a bad name. She will remain his wife. He cannot divorce her as long as he lives. But if the accusation is true and no evidence of young woman's virginity is found, they will bring the woman to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city will stone her to death, for she has committed an outrage in Israel by being promiscuous in her father's house. You must purge evil from you. If a man is discovered having sexual relations with another man's wife, both the man who had sex with the woman and the woman must die. You must purge evil from Israel. If there is a young woman who is a virgin engaged to a man, and another man encounters her in the city and has sex with her, you must take the two of them out of the gate of that city and stone them to death. The young woman, because she did not cry out in the city, and the man, because he has violated his neighbor's fiancée. You must purge evil from you. But if the man encounters the engaged woman in the open country, and he seizes and rapes her, only the man who raped her must die. Do nothing to the young woman, because she is not guilty of an offense deserving death. This case is just like in which a man attacks his neighbor and murders him. When he found her in the field, the engaged woman cried out, but there was no one to rescue her. If a man encounters a young woman, a virgin who is not engaged, takes hold of her and rapes her, and they are discovered, the man who raped her must give the young woman's father 50 shekels, and she must become his wife because he violated her. He cannot divorce her as long as he lives. A man is not to marry his father's wife. He must not violate his father's marriage bed. Exclusions and Inclusion. Chapter 23. No man whose testicles have been crushed or whose penis has been cut off may enter the Lord's assembly. No one of illegitimate birth may enter the Lord's assembly. None of his descendants, even to the 10th generation, may enter the Lord's assembly. No Ammonite or Moabite may enter the Lord's assembly. None of their descendants, even to the 10th generation, may enter the Lord's assembly. This is because they did not meet you with food and water on the journey after you came out of Egypt, and because Balaam, son of Beor, from Pethor in Aram Naharaim, was hired to curse you. Yet the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam, but he turned the curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God loves you. Never seek peace or friendship with them as long as you live. Do not despise an Edomite, because he is your brother. Do not despise an Egyptian, because you were a foreign resident in his land. The children born to them in the 3rd generation may enter the Lord's assembly. Cleanliness of the camp. When you are encamped against your enemies, be careful to avoid anything offensive. If there is a man among you who is unclean because of a bodily emission during the night, he must go outside the camp. He may not come anywhere inside the camp. When evening approaches, he must wash with water, and when the sun sets, he can come inside the camp. You must have a place outside the camp and go there to relieve yourself. You must have a digging tool in your equipment. When you relieve yourself, dig a hole with it and cover up your excrement. For the Lord your God walks throughout your camp to protect you and to deliver you from your enemies. So the encampments must be holy. He must not see anything improper among you, or he will turn away from you. Fugitive slaves. Do not return a slave to his master when he has escaped from his master to you. Let him live among you, wherever he wants within your gates. Do not mistreat him. Cult prostitution forbidden. No Israelite woman is to be a cult prostitute, and no Israelite man is to be a cult prostitute. Do not bring a female prostitute's wages or a male prostitute's earnings into the house of the Lord your God to fulfill any vow, because both are detestable to the Lord your God. Interest on loans. Do not charge your brother interest on money, food, or anything that can earn interest. You may charge a foreigner interest, but you may not charge your brother interest. So that the Lord your God may bless you in everything you do in the land you are entering to possess. Keeping vows. If you make a vow to the Lord your God, do not be slow to keep it, because he will require it of you, and it will be counted against you as sin. But if you refrain from making a vow, it will not be counted against you as a sin. Be careful to do whatever comes from your lips, because you have freely vowed what you promised to the Lord your God. Neighbor's crops. When you enter your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat as many as grapes as you want until you are full, but you must not put any in your container. When you enter your neighbor's standing grain, you may pluck heads of grain in your hands, but you must not put a sickle to your neighbor's grain. Marriage and Divorce Laws, Chapter 24. If a man marries a woman, but she becomes displeasing to him because he finds something improper about her, he may write her a divorce certificate, hand it to her, and send her away from his house. If after leaving his house she goes and becomes another man's wife, and the second man hates her, writes her a divorce certificate, hands it to her, and sends her away from his house, or he dies, the first husband who sent her away may not marry her again after she has been defiled, because that would be detestable to the Lord. You must not bring guilt to the land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. When a man takes a bride, he must not go out with the army or be liable for any duty. He is free to stay at home for 1 year, so that he can bring joy to the wife he has married. Safeguarding life. Do not take a pair of millstones or an upper millstone as security for a debt, because that is like taking a life as security. If a man is discovered kidnapping one of his Israelite brothers, whether he treats him as a slave or sells him, the kidnapper must die. You must purge evil from you. Be careful in a case of infectious disease, following carefully everything the Levitical priest instructs you to do. Be careful to do as I have commanded them. Remember that the Lord your God did to Miriam on the journey after you left Egypt. Consideration for people in need. When you make a loan of any kind to your neighbor, do not enter his house to collect what he offers as security. You must stand outside while the man you are making the loan to brings the security out to you. If he is a poor man, you must not sleep in the garment he has given you as security. Be sure to return it to him at sunset. Then he will sleep in it and bless you, and this will be counted as righteousness to you before the Lord your God. Do not oppress a hired hand who is poor and needy, whether one of your brothers or one of the foreigners residing within a town in your land. You are to pay him wages each day before the sun sets, because he is poor and depends on them. Otherwise he will cry out to the Lord against you, and you will be held guilty. Fathers are not to be put to death for their children, or children for their fathers. Each person will be put to death for his own sin. Do not deny justice to a foreign resident or fatherless child, and do not take a widow's garment as security. Remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. Therefore I am commanding you to do this. When you reap the harvest in your field, and you forget a chaff in the field, do not go back to get it. It is to be left for the foreign resident, the fatherless, and the widow, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you knock down the fruit from your olive tree, you must not go over the branches again. What remains will be for the foreign resident, the fatherless, and the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you must not glean what is left. What remains will be for the foreign resident, the fatherless, and the widow. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore I am commanding you to do this. Fairness and Mercy, Chapter 25. If there is a dispute between men, they are to go to court, and the judges will hear the case. They will clear the innocent and condemn the guilty. If the guilty party deserves to be flogged, the judge will make him lie down and be flogged in his presence with the number of lashes appropriate for his crime. He may be flogged with 40 lashes, but no more. Otherwise he will be flogged with more lashes than these. Your brother will be degraded in your sight. Do not muzzle an ox when it treads out grain. Preserving the family line. When brothers live on the same property, and one of them dies without a son, the wife of the dead man may not marry a stranger outside the family. Her brother-in-law is to take her as his wife, have sexual relations with her, and perform the duty of a brother-in-law for her. The first son she bears will carry on the name of the dead brother, so his name will not be blotted out from Israel. But if the man doesn't want to marry his sister-in-law, she must go to the elders of the city gate and say, "My brother-in-law refuses to preserve his brother's name in Israel. He is unwilling to perform the duty of a brother-in-law to me." The elders of the city will summon him and speak with him. If he persists and says, "I don't want to marry her," then his sister-in-law will go up to him in the sight of the elders, remove his sandal from his foot, and spit in his face. She will declare, "This is what is done to a man who will not build up his brother's house." And his family name in Israel will be called the house of the man whose sandal was removed. If two men are fighting with each other, and the wife of one steps in to rescue her husband from the one striking him, and she puts out a hand and grabs his genitals, you are to cut off her hand. You must not show pity. Honest weights and measures. You must not have two different weights in your bag, one heavy and one light. You must not have two differing dry measures in your house, a larger and a smaller. You must have a full and honest weight, a full and honest dry measure, so that you may live long in the land your Lord your God is giving you. For everyone who does such things and acts unfairly is detestable to the Lord your God. Revenge on the Amalekites. Remember the Amalekites did to you on the journey after you left Egypt. They met you along the way and attacked all your stragglers from behind when you were tired and weary. they did not fear God. When the Lord your God gives you rest from all the enemies around you in the land your Lord your God is giving you to possess as an inheritance, blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget. Giving the first fruits, chapter 26. When you enter the land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, and you take possession of it and live in it, you must take some of the first of all the soil's produce that you harvest from the land the Lord your God is giving you, and put it in a container. Then go to a place where the Lord your God chooses to have his name dwell. When you come before the priest who is serving at that time, you must say to him, "Today I acknowledge the Lord your God that I have entered the land the Lord swore to our fathers to give us." Then the priest will take the container from your hand and place it before the altar of the Lord your God. You are to respond by saying, in the presence of the Lord your God, "My father was a wandering Aramean. He went down to Egypt with a few people and lived there. There he became a great, powerful, and populous nation. But the Egyptians mistreated and afflicted us and forced us to do hard labor. So we called out to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our cry and saw our misery, hardship, and oppression. Then the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand and an outstretched arm, with terrifying power and with signs and wonders. He led us to this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. I have now brought the first of the land's produce that you, Lord, have given me." You will then place the container before the Lord your God and bow down to him. You, the Levite, and the foreign resident among you will rejoice in all the good things the Lord your God has given you and your household. The 10th in the 3rd year. When you have finished paying all the 10th of your produce in the 3rd year, the year of the 10th, you are to give it to the Levite, the foreign resident, the fatherless, and the widow, so that they may eat in your towns and be satisfied. Then you will say in the presence of the Lord your God, "I have taken the consecrated portion out of my house. I have also given it to the Levite, the foreign resident, the fatherless, and the widow, according to all the commands you gave me. I have not violated or forgotten your commands. I have not eaten any of it while in mourning, or removed any of it while unclean, or offered any of it for the dead. I have obeyed the Lord your God. I have done all that you have commanded me. Look down from your holy dwelling, from heaven, and bless your people Israel and the land you have given us. You swore to our fathers, a land flowing with milk and honey." Covenant Summary. The Lord your God is commanding you this day to follow these statutes and ordinances. You must be careful to follow them with all your heart and all your soul. Today you have affirmed that the Lord your God, that you will walk in his ways, keep his statutes and commands and ordinances, and obey him. And today the Lord has affirmed that you are his special people, as he promised you, that you are to keep all his commands, that he will put you far above all nations he has made in praise, fame, and glory, and that you will be a holy people to the Lord your God, as he promised. The word of the Lord. Have a blessed day. Ciao.